Hello and welcome to TFT European Regional Finals and World Qualifiers. Final day, game number 6. Enjoy.
Do you know where tears tend to end up? We've seen so many Ezreals, so many Lulu compositions coming through as we are invited to the stage one final time here in the Rising Legends EMEA Finals.
Yeah, and I have that same arena. I just want to flex a little bit. No, we're on board with Canvas, of course. He's currently leading everybody. You just heard it from our analyst desk. I just want everybody to know that they're currently getting, I don't know, covered in plushies by our production for some reason. I am not jealous. No, I would never be. But Canvas will be finding a LeBlanc early here as well as a Shen.
Yeah, a couple of patches ago, Peter, you'd be absolutely delighted with this pickup here, right? But Hacker has been changed, has been nerfed. LeBlanc, not necessarily the primary character that we once was, no longer that machine gun menace that we know and love, or hate, depending on which type of person you are, I suppose. But has 2 copies of Kale in the shop, so he wants to commit to that underground opener yet again.
I mean,
early signs are there.
It makes sense. I mean, as much as Underground, can be a risky proposition in some hands, Canvas has proven to be an extremely safe pair of hands in knowing how to navigate this line of play. Remember, Canvas is 2 points ahead of Ging. As long as he has a good finish in this game, he's almost set to become our regional champion.
Finds a Kale too here, but we're going to hop on over to Ging, who also is finding some upgrades. I believe it was no one other than Mordog who said that a 2-star front line with 2 units is the biggest, indicator for win streaking in the early game.
Just golds here, and speaking of golds, a lot of gold also on offer with the Freezer Company trade sector, also providing a ton of value here. Committing to Master Quests early on can be a little bit scary, right? You don't know exactly if there's a line you want to commit to, but both Trade Sector and Freezer Company are very wide open options.
And we'll see how much of a risk Ging wants to take. I mean, the real decision point here, because Ging being 5 points ahead of Hayden, is pretty much guaranteed to be part of our 4 heading straight to the Global Championship. It's whether he wants to risk playing a game which might get him the regional title.
Yeah, that's definitely what they're looking for, the regional title and the world championship. You could argue one's a little bit bigger than the other, but we're going to see what players want more as we are moving on. We are seeing something on Hayden's board that we're always interested in. Atoma traits being picked up from the ancient archives. Of course, we want to see what Hayden finds in that, so we're going to hop on over there as soon as possible.
Got a couple more decisions being made early on as well. Along with that time, Kevin Parker is locked into Infinity for the rest of the game. Of course, we've all talked about the keeping your options open or making sure you're as strong as possible. Hayden has not cashed in immediately on the Toma traits, which is more unusual.
I mean, so a little funny thing, I think I can put him on blast here for a second.
Right, of course, that's what he needs.
So a bit of a funny story, I've kind of been given the ghost to do with this information as I may. Hayden obviously took a little bit of an extended break after GSC 1, came back here and has been prepping very intensely, to the point where we had to tell him that you can tailor Tome of Traits. And he gets an early Infinity Team here. And again, this is no slight against what he's been doing, but he's a fantastic player, has a great understanding of the game itself, right? Very strong fundamentals have really been shining through with the help from his practice group to get a better grasp on that patch here.
I really love that messaging. You're only ever as good as your friends. I'm here for it. I should get some more challenger friends then.
I mean, it's the
Don't you have an entire German Discord of those, mates?
No.
Oh my gosh. A couple of small notes about some of the other players we haven't mentioned as of yet. Kafuzzle pick up the Oxforce Crest. We know pretty much where that's going. We mentioned along with the Ancient Archives coming for Hayden, Infinity Team will be contested in this lobby.
Yeah, we are also seeing once more, there's always the moment where some players start win streaking and some players go more into those losing streak openers. This time around, it's going to be Kevin Parker, 88 HP. After those first couple of rounds, before we move into the carousel, he is going to be someone that we need to maybe worry just a little bit about. But for now, his German colleague, Lester, spelled out quite a good board for the early.
Yeah, definitely Kevin Parker, currently the 4th place, so most vulnerable to being overtaken and having that guaranteed spot taken away from him. Of course, Ging looking once more to take the title again on 30 points overall, just 2 points behind Cambiz. This early board looking good.
Another thing I want to talk about Ging here is that actually he's one of the few players that have still opted to play a little bit of Kai'Sa after the nerfs here on this patch, so has a very familiar understanding of the line or whether or not or when he needs to transition out of this line into a better board.
Yeah, 100%. And you can see that Kerfuzzled just lost his win streak. Canvas, however, can protect his. And Kevin Parker took yet another loss as we're going to be moving into the carousel. It is going to be glitched out, of course. This time we're getting back to those bigger eggs. And everybody likes eggs.
Oh, yes. Again, though, of course, again, as we mentioned so many times before, apart from re-rolling players who hate losing out on that spot. But just to touch back on what you're saying about Cambiz on a win streak right now and also on the points lead in the tournament, this start certainly is very bad news for Ging, who's more towards the middle of the table.
Going to be seeing what everybody takes. Ging actually being able to find a bow, if I saw that correctly. So pretty good for him. A little bit of offensive for the Kai'Sa that he had on board. Can, of course, transfer this later on. He is here, can build a Giant Slayer right now, or can hold it for something like a Statics, which is a little bit more universal.
Yeah, King picking up the threes company early on, but not really finding a mass amount here. Presumably that's where the Kai'Sa came from initially. But right now it's keeping things pretty conservative. Has a decent amount of money in the bank to build towards something later on.
Yeah, and that's the key part about the Freezer comment, right? Because either you get insane tempo from it, or you get a big economic background here. And we talked about Ketzer early on. We spoke of him this morning, Makes. I say morning. This gamer morning around 5 p.m., right? Where we were talking about how he really likes these like AP reroll lines, and how he really likes to fit into that tree. And well, he's going to be playing yet another Lulu game.
Yeah, do we like that? I feel like the Lulu, it's not really Luluing for the past couple of games. This morning, Gamer Morning, it looked pretty good. But game 3, 4, 5, I'm not convinced.
I think it's one of those ones that, you do have the big variable performances on. And Ketzer right now is last place with 16. So I don't hate him trying to just go for something which may come off big. It may fall flat on its face, but you've got to try for something big at this point. You're still relatively close to maybe getting to the Western LCQ, but getting a first, a second, that's really the way you do it.
And Ging here using that early lesser champion duplicator to push the tempo, something we have seen him do extensively so far today, and it's been paying off in spades.
100%, but here is Canvas, and he is looking to protect that streak. Has the early Infiniteam going on, Sure Shot Defender, really common Infiniteam opener. On the other side is the person contesting him. It's Kevin Parker with an unslammed Infinity emblem on the bench.
This is what I really like about what we're seeing from Cambiz here. He's just playing whatever he hits, but at the same time, he's slowing down 2 other players while doing so. This is such a great way of sucking strength out of the rest of the lobby and making sure that Cambiz's streak goes on interrupted as it has.
Kerfuzzle on the Gadgetzine opener here has that early Lulu too as well. It's not necessarily going to be that big of an issue for Ketzer in terms of being able to hit the Lulus, because keep in mind, there are a lot of one cost in the pool, generally speaking, so just 3 of them being out there is not going to be the biggest issue in the world, while he would have liked that there was no one else contesting, obviously.
Gonna be going into the Krugs, where I always get a little bit scared, especially for those players who are down there. Casey Double is not in this lobby though, so we shouldn't be too worried. Although I saw something earlier that made me think it's maybe not only him who sometimes loses to Krugs. Kevin Parker, 67 HP in stage 2-7. That is quite a lot. Already gone when you're looking at the top standings, 100, 96, 94, 94, 94, 86. They're all so far away from him already.
That's a weird mathematics table, I gotta admit, Max. I'm not really sure how you multiply that, how to make it's like some sort of Fibonacci code.
Yeah, I hope you have a result for me now. I gave you all the numbers, I want a result.
We're running the numbers and it spells trouble for anyone who can't figure out, which will, of course, include us. We check in with Hayden, currently in 3rd place overall with 25 points. Again, much like Ging, is fairly secure in that top 4 spot unless this game is a total disaster on a win streak now, just like Kambiz up at the top, means that the kind of variability of the game finish is reduced dramatically.
And Hayden has been committing to the absolute tempo slams available to him, right? Early Zephyr slam here, early level 6 to push the tempo in this entire lobby here, because he knows that as long as he stays clear of pretty much everyone else here, gotta play for that secure top 4, top 3 position. He should be in no matter what. And he's doing that quite well. He's also over 30 gold. Good rule of thumb.
Augment's coming in. It was gold first. It is going to be Hero Augment next. 3-3-4 for our players.
Time to bring out that Gegen pressing here for our players, because this is a very useful formation for most of them. But I mean, the forecasts here are so good because this has a huge implication for some of the players that might have been looking to do a free cost reroll potentially, because a lot of these free cost reroll lines really falter when forecasts are in play.
Yeah, and of course, we've already established we've got Kambiz in particular exerting a lot of control over lobby. Maybe wasn't planning that the forecasts arriving in force quite so quickly for our players lower down the table. It should help them push their ball strength forward and perhaps put together, like Hayden here, the early bigger comps like Infiniteam 5.
Picking up the recursion matrix here on that Infiniteam angle, we are seeing that other players have picked up those forecasts. So aim assist in play for Lusher, but everybody else is on a forecast. We have Samira's, we have Diego's, both support and carry augments, and we have the gear shift on Canvas, who is once more on the Noxslinger line.
Yeah, I'd certainly love to see it. As was noted in our previous game, the gear shift certainly giving a lot of power longer term to your board rather than going for just the gold drop instead on the Twisted Fate. Hayden will take the L here to drop out the win streak, but Kambiz keeps his going.
Kambiz with the absolute fiend play here, coming through level 7, 0 gold. He knows that all he needs to do is ensure that everyone in the lobby just stays down, so he's just going to put them in their place.
We'll see how that one goes. Canvas, however, still streaking, and at this point, it's putting the entire lobby into a tempo chokehold. They need to make something here and dethrone them, or the hits that he's dishing out will become a problem for every other player. Kevin, you said it, able to turn it around just a little bit, but now Ketzer is down there. 54 HP. Ging also has taken a little bit of a hit with 73, and everybody's staring at Canvas, trying to see how to dethrone this one.
Yeah, the 2-point lead is what Kambiz has right now. That's such a big gap to make up for Ging, specifically down, as I said, having taken a lot of damage already. Kafuzzle looking to play the confounding factor in this lobby, also sharing up these top spots. If you could take Kambiz off his throne, that would make a huge difference.
But the power of the Frill here means that Kambiz are going to be dishing out some absolutely insane hits. So look at Kafuzzle dropping down through the table, down to 75 HP. Ketzer also down to just 42. And Kevin Parker, he might have stabilized here.
Yeah, it looks like he did just that. Once again, Ketzer taking a loss, though, so he needs to be the one that we're now worrying about. Gets the first pick of the litter in this carousel on these unit, picks up an Alistar with a tier, and everybody else is now going as well. The Aatrox may be looking interesting to players like Lusher, but goes for the sword instead.
We talked about, of course, Ketzer from before being the player who needs the biggest swing in this game. Has a lot of items on the bench ready to go to maybe help fuel that swing into happening. Lulu has her blue buff. The egg is still not hatched, but we are fairly close. When I say fairly close, we are at Lulu 3 right now.
Has the blue buff on bench, is going to slam that right away. Jeweled Lotus as an augment as well. And of course, with Diego in play, there's going to be a little bit of support coming around as well.
And Ketzer's shaking here a little bit maybe, right? Like, he, instead of trying to start in level 5 here, rolling down for the Pantheon, he realizes he's so far away that he might as well get better odds for those two costs instead.
And of course, we saw this before not work out terribly well, but at least Ketzer, has got a huge loss streak in play, has got a decent amount of gold in the bank, so he does have options, even if his HP is looking a little bit sus. Wait a second, are we about to see this newly online Lulu actually manage to break the streak?
Glitterlands, go! You can do it!
Yes! Kambiz brought low by the Lulu!
And the big thing here is that Campus now, he's going to be 10 gold behind where he wants to be with that early level 7. Again, he did push a lot of damage, which is his primary objective in this lobby, is dealing damage and pushing the likes of Ging outside their comfort zone. If you didn't need to match him, because Ging, keep in mind, is the only person really able to contest Campus for this title.
And I love the irony here of Ketzer, of course, being our lowest points player in our Final 8, being the one to knock Campus off of that perch and take the money out of Campus's pocket. Admittedly, Campus has gotten an enormous amount of money so far, so it may be too little too late, but it had to happen sometime, and I'm glad for Ketzer's chances that it was him.
I'm just looking across these traits here on the right side. Hayden and Kevin Parker are competing each other just a little bit, but with Kevin picking up the Daredevil on the Samira, you know his focus is going to be around here, whereas Hayden is a little bit more on the traditional line and is currently itemizing his Sivir as the main carry. And you can see oh, nope, that's actually, I thought that was going to be Hayden. It's actually Kevin for now. Has probably not found the Sivir to take these items off for now. We'll do that later.
I mean, it's a pretty easy mistake to make in this particular
They're both
lobby.
playing Infinity.
We can pretty much just bundle them in together and just call them the same player, honestly, because they are going to be following a very similar line for a while.
You say similar line, but there are different trees within the Infinite Team line here. Look at what Hayden is doing here. He's playing around the Switch of Fate for now. No sure shots inside with Hesha Samira on the bench. Could be a transitional unit, but keep in mind that he did have to opt for that recursion matrix because of poor Augment tailoring free too.
Going into Wolves, and honestly, it does not feel like we're only in stage 3-7 to me. That Canvas win streak early just absolutely sped up the game for all of these players. Ketzer still down there, but has been finding win after win on the back of the Lulu. Kevin now once more looking to find an angle. Lusher right above him with
Hayden.
3 losses, and Hayden 4-1 finds Twisted Fate 2, and I think we're here to stay.
I'm wondering a lot how stable Hayden thinks he is, because if he thinks he's stable enough, he can start playing for an insane cap by putting that Infinity Team crest onto the Urgot and start farming those massive items and gold.
We know that is the greediest choice, but oftentimes it's going to lead to the best outcomes. Kevin Parker here, as you said, with a different line of play, Devil in place, which means that his currently low HP is directly benefiting the team with more attack speed, fueling what I'm sure he hopes will be a tremendous comeback.
And we are seeing Lusher sport, and this one is something we haven't seen a lot of, especially in this patch, especially in this tournament. It is the aim assist LeBlanc, and he is looking for that LeBlanc 3. Definitely on an admin. I'm sure we're going to get word what that admin on Lusher's side is. For now, took a loss here against his fellow countryman. Is looking for a big finish here to still claw a place of qualification for himself.
And we thought, backlines for a while, thought they were safe. They thought we'd finally be able to move her out, but let's move on to our last augment of the game. It will be gold. So our players just able to put the last pieces together, but it shouldn't upturn the table too much.
This was a question between capping out versus pure combat power. He goes for the thrill of the hunt. We know how universally powerful this is, and with a unit like Samira that has the opportunity to execute multiple units with one cast, the heal's going to be massive.
All right. I'm very nervous on what our Lulu player is on. To be honest with you, that is my biggest question. Ketzer, what have you found in the golden augments? Are we looking at Axiom Arc, or are we going to be safe from that threat once more?
Oh boy. It's okay, so it's not Axiom Arc, but it will be the Heart Emblem, so we're going to be seeing not as much explosivity, but the longer rounds for Ketzer will be very good. Certainly Lulu can make some deletions early on to get those rounds turned around, but we'll stick with Campus for the time being. So the makeshift armor, so we did see turning up a little bit across R2 being used to reinforce the front line, which is right now struggling. That Infinity Member, which is 7-4 has landed on the Urgot, so that's a lot more waves being able to crash down, at least longer term.
And waves is exactly what Hayden has been making all week and what he's trying to make in this final game here. Picking up that final Infinity Team crest here as well means he is going to be lacking combat power from augments, but with the time he has with these Urgots to farm a ton of items potentially, he's going to be able to compensate that in that way instead.
Absolutely right. However, Lusher is losing HP one at a time. We're in stage 4-3. He's on 35 HP. We know he's on that aim assist. The admin, you're seeing it here. He's on 40 ability power and another 40 ability power for this comp. This is great, but even greater would be that LeBlanc 3.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the win condition coming through there. As I was saying before, all of the backlines have felt like they were safe up until the point LeBlanc lands and makes an absolute mess of everything. I don't think any of our players would have anticipated this coming into the lobby. So, compositions like this and multiple backline carries, they just get evaporated, and there's not very much you can do about it.
Look at her shooting down anything in her path. This time around, Lusher is going to find a win, hopefully, and that will be the case against Ging. But the lobby is just, it's separating more and more as we move into the carousels. There is going to be an Urgot and an Ezreal.
Wait, the Ezreal you're talking about here could be insane for Kevin Parker, right? If he's still on that sure shot Infinity Team line, that is a massive boon for him. And keep in mind as well, potential Urgot pair for Hayden. There are some absolute bangers on this carousel. Ging picking it up instead here. And an important thing to know about Ging and Kevin Parker, both of them are kind of in the middle of nowhere land right now. Ging especially. We look at where Campus is at, and then you look at the difference between him and Ging. That's still a huge amount of work he has to do.
Yeah, and I think I really appreciate this, honestly, from the Cam business side of things. For our players going towards the global championship, they need to show their mastery of the situation, to be able to manipulate games outside of the normal way you play TFT. I think Campus has done that extremely well now heading up to level 8. Most of the pieces are in place for Campus's ascension. The final bits are still coming together, though.
When he's talking about the final bits here, Garen has been found. Not a Garen 2 just yet, Peter, but it is going to be a massive thing, and he is able to find that 2-star Garen, get those double CCs lined up.
Going up against Lusher. Lusher, who we just saw and thought maybe he's going to be turning it around now. He has 5 copies of LeBlanc. That is not nearly enough. 20 gold for him in his bank. The LeBlanc is under fire in the backline. The Edge of Night does save her a little bit of time, but it's not going to be enough. The Morgana and the Twisted Fate, they collapse onto her, and Lusher loses out once more. Kevin, despite the big pickup from the carousel, also taken down to 24 HP.
We're left in a situation where Ketzer is the only win-streaking player as a second 2-star Garen enters the field. Of course, for Infinity Team players, that is absolutely essential to putting together their long-term defenses. For Ging here, currently second place overall, though, doesn't have anywhere near as impressive of a front line.
No, and honestly, the front line isn't really the issue here for Ging, right? You look at the back line here, you can see the Azol 2. Azol 2 is fine. It's not the primary item carry here. Finds that Nico 2, which means he's finally get something in that back line that can really start dishing out the damage.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind, Ging is currently very good on points. He is on 30 points. His spot for Worlds is looking extremely good, so he can go really risky to try and get the spot for EMEA champion. You can see his sheer power that he's now built out on the back of going 8 and 0 gold has made it for him. However, Germany looking desperate down there. 12 HP, 13 HP for Kevin Parker and Lusher. Maybe this PvE round can bring some luck, some support, something to turn this one around, but I'm not sure if they can claw this one out.
I mean, you look at the gold difference between Lusher and Kevin Parker right now, it's night and day. I mean, they may have similar HP, but for Lusher, the future is much more positive. At least he can find something. We were getting just above, you mentioned going all in on putting the board together. Lusher can still potentially leapfrog and at least battle for, say, a top 5.
Yeah, but this is such a big roll down, right? He's 13 HP here. He needs to find 4 more copies of the blank. No ought to be picked up here. And we just have to sit back and relax and watch this because it is going to be Lusher on the block.
Yeah, and we talked about roll downs this morning. He is looking for that LeBlanc, finds another 2-star, 3 more to go. He doesn't have any extra orbs. He needs to find them in his shop, and the gold is running out. Warwick 2 being picked up in the meantime, but this is not something that you wanted. Sells off part of the board, finds that Sona 3, so something 3-star at least, but not the unit he was hoping for.
No, maybe a bit of a monkey's paw there, finding the wrong units at the right time. Still, though, we'll see if Lusher can hold on for just a little while longer. Maybe fortunes change dramatically. Kevin Parker and Lusher, the two German players, both up for elimination in this round on both sides of your screen.
Hopefully they can turn it around. Germany needs these wins, but Kevin is Samira against the entire Infinity board. He's taken a hit, but he survives this one, and Lusher finds a win in this round. They are trying their best to claw one out.
And keep in mind what I was talking about with the combination of Samira plus the thrill of the hunt, right? She stayed alive for so long, and at the end of the day, saving Kevin Parker's life in this tournament. And so though, Fiddlesticks too, these boards are going out of this world now.
I just noticed Ketzer, of course, we were talking about before. Maybe, just maybe, Ketzer wouldn't have a late game. He just hit level 9 off of his board. So things are changing, they're changing quick, and we still have no way of knowing how this is all going to play out.
Once more, we're going to watch Kevin and Lusher side by side trying to find wins. Lusher did it in the last game. Kevin did not, but can he do it now? They're up against each other. Somebody is going to take a hit here. And you can see that LeBlanc is unbothered in that backline. She is looking like she might take it, but the Samira takes her down instead. All eyes on Sona. And she is going to carry this one home with the Shojin, with the 3-star. It wasn't the right unit, but it came at least at the right time.
And Kevin Parker, the most vulnerable player currently in our top 4 on 22 points. Enzo, Kafuzzle could both potentially leapfrog and take that 4th spot away, that 4th guaranteed spot of the Monsters Attack Championship.
And it's going to be such a bittersweet ending to this entire weekend for Kevin Parker, the entire season potentially as well. One of the players that has really put themselves together and really done a fantastic job all throughout this season. Meanwhile, Ging looks like he's found a stable board that might be able to bring it back.
Yeah, hopefully. I believe he might survive even another loss. I just quickly want to say I am very sure that this is not the last we've seen of Kevin Parker. His road has only just started, and he might even still make it to the LCQ. So we'll see how this one goes.
This is such an important round. Ging is the only remaining challenger for Cambiz points-wise for the title of EMEA champion. If Ging gets taken out here, we have already decided who our champion is.
He does not get knocked out here. He survives this one.
But this carousel could be big. Some of these players might be holding on to big pairs. It don't matter. Okay, there is an Infinity Team emblem on this board, but I don't think that's going to be the priority for Hayden. He's already sacrificed 2 augments to go into that tree. He needs some better items as well.
Oh boy, so many decisions we made here. Our HP totals are starting to collapse. The bottom 3 very close to each other. The top 4 with barely more breathing room. It's not quite as tight of a lobby as we've seen previously, but it's still hugely explosive.
We are looking at Lusher, though, because he just picked up a blue buff, which is going to be helpful, I think, for his comp. On the other side, here's Ketzer, who has put the Gadgetines into play after being on that Lulu 3. We're looking at Lulu carry Gadgetines. Not a line we get an awful lot of, but with that extra heart emblem, he found that entry to have the best of both worlds.
And with the hearts rocking through as well, and an Archangel on the Nunu, if Ketzer can somehow find the upgrade to the Nunu, it's just going to be going through people, demolishing absolutely everything. But again, Ging's future is vital for the tournament up against level 9 Hayden.
Hopefully, Ging can turn this one around. He is up against the Infinity board. I believe it's Hayden's here, and his Asol is trying to make the most out of it. Asol's comets will come crashing down. Here they are, meteor shower once more, but I don't think it is enough. He's trying his hardest. The Syndra comes in support, but he is taken down here in the round now as 7th player, even Lusher, coming right above him in 6th.
There's got to be a smile on Cambiz's face right now. It's been such a long road to get to this point. As I said, Lusher is gone, Ging is gone. We've only got 5 people remaining in our final lobby of this 3-day competition.
And look at this matchup here coming through for Enzo as well. He's going to be guaranteed to fight against KC Campus. And that's, generally speaking, something that's going to be important for this round. A lot of clarity around who's facing who. And Hayden's got to suffer. That's going to be a punishing thing for a lot of these players. And Kerfuzzle has a lot of tempo to work with. And here we have this fight. This fight's going to be super decisive as well, because Enzo is in with a good shot at making it into one of those very important spots.
Ketzer and Enzo both fighting for their lives here, side by side. Enzo just a little bit lower his board with that Belveth, trying to eke one out against Canvas. Canvas, who most likely is going to be our EMEA champion, will take a hit, but definitely still has so much HP to work with.
I'm still so impressed by Ketzer's tenacity to hold on to this point. Enzo down to 14, Ketzer 17, Campus just above. And I can't help but notice, Hayden right up at the top there, an incredibly impressive player, but there's one more in the mix. It's my boy, Kerfuzzle. He's still alive.
Also, like a little bit of an unfortunate situation for Hayden here to a certain extent. Has still yet to find a 2-star Garen, still yet to find a 2-star Urgot to really help facilitate those final few transitions he has to make at some point to close out this game.
Kerfuzzled will pick up an anvil here, of course, from the PvE round, a little bit of gold. We are looking all across the boards. Most players on level 9, Kerfuzzled and Canvas, the only ones who aren't. And as I'm saying that, he goes up to 9. Canvas still on level 8, though.
Oh boy, the few remaining moments before the storm truly breaks. We are receiving confirmation that it is now official. Carmine Corp will take themselves their 3rd EMEA regional title, and Canvas has officially arrived on the world stage. His journey has been enormous, stepping out of the shadow of his cousin.
And Kerfuzzle here making the most out of this angle here, trying to pop it at the last second possible.
Kerfuzzled still has a lot of HP here, shouldn't be too worried. It is Ketzer who is shaking, but Canvas is on the other side of this fight. Enzo and Ketzer might take a loss here. Canvas going down to 8 HP, and Ketzer and Enzo both survive their rounds themselves. Stay alive one more time. Fiddlesticks and Jana too. Did we all just see that?
Yeah, well, I mean, Canvas may be pretty much done in this lobby in terms of what he needs to do, but for everybody else, eking out even a couple more points could make the difference between joining Canvas on the global stage or being left behind.
Yeah, and you were speaking about him. Kerfuzzled is here. He's not currently very high up in the leaderboard, but a good finish here could propel him into those qualification spots that we are looking at, even if it's just for the LCQ. These players are all fighting to make it just one spot higher in the overall standings. It is Hayden against Kerfuzzled, and Canvas on 8 HP needs to shake now, as he is looking to maybe get eliminated one round into this, already crowned. Maybe, maybe he's going to be taken out here.
I think so. Retiring with dignity from this final game. His work is done here, but we still continue with an extremely close final lobby. Kerfuzzle taking the 2-star Viego. Our players coming online even further. Hayden with Infinity Team 7 has been so impressive this tournament, fighting back for the brink.
Also worth noting here that this fight was really unfortunate for Hayden in terms of how it ended up working out with Kerfuzzle being on that ASOL carry. Right? When you're playing Infinity Team, you are going to end up clumping your board no matter how you position, because you're going to get those 2 extra units that you can't position.
Okay, Hayden is actually in contention for these spots as well. He is also looking for a high finish, going up against Ketzer. Can his Infinity board do it? Shroud of Stillness hitting the Syndra too, and the Super Ezreal. The wave comes in, the Undertow takes out some of the enemy front line, but the Nunu charges on uninterrupted. The Gadgetines are just a whole lot of mess for Hayden to deal with as he goes out 4th, and Enzo following some suit 3rd.
But that means he puts himself into 30 points. That should be safe, mathematically speaking. Kerfuzzle can only get to 26, I believe, with a win. So, and Ketzer's also down in those lower echelons of the overall standings here. But what a way to finish out this tournament. We're going to have a massive face-off here. This super cap board coming out from Kerfuzzle versus the star of the show, to a certain extent, all throughout this weekend. This Lulu reroll coming through from Ketzer.
As you said, the points here absolutely vital. Kerfuzzle looking to take the spot away from Kevin Parker, who finished in 8th in this lobby. We've seen so many tournaments go this way that just one bad game can spell your doom. Ketzer and Kerfuzzle, it may even be the final round if Kerfuzzle gets the win here.
Yeah, it could be. Both players on level 9, basically 0 gold. We can see the Leona smiling at Kerfuzzled as he built out a board with lots and lots of legendaries on that. Shroud of Stillness hits the ASOL in the enemy backline right from the get-go. Nunu comes in and interrupts everybody for just a short time. Jin gets back onto casting, but will it be enough? The Viego is on to him. He is going to be taken down by the Jin, but it's not enough, and Kerfuzzle takes a loss here.
Also keep in mind here, this Nunu 2 is an absolute menace. The double AP scaling from the heart as well as that Archangel staff means that this Nunu is a fantastic secondary carry that's going to be able to shut out whatever this Lulu is unable to do.
And I think this is obviously a massive problem for Kerfuzzle. The damage isn't focused enough to take the Nunu offline in any kind of timely fashion. He's just going to get back on his feet, come back for a second go. I honestly don't know what Kerfuzzle can even do at this point. These two players are so close in points to each other.
I mean, he at least found an upgrade with that Leona, hopefully, but is it going to be enough? 0 items on her. The Shroud of Stillness hits the entire enemy clutter, and that might just be the end of it for Kerfuzzle. There was a chance to maybe eke this one out with positioning, but with that Shroud hitting everything on his board, it is just going to be very bad news for him. You can see the Echo coming. Here's the Gnar. The Jin is trying to do something, but the Lulu will take it, and Kerfuzzle is taken down. Ketzer takes the last game of the day with the first place in our EMEA finals here.